Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the feature bout of the evening. From the four corners of the world, in the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
This is something that comes along every now and then in generation, and it's special. And there's no hype. I'm telling you, it's special.
No respect for this guy. Let's go.
Now he's got that fire in his eyes. You better believe it now. That was something special. Gets the win. 20 rounds, strong team victory. It is over. For a professional record, a perfect one.
Remember, capture the body.
Great finish from a great finisher.
It was Lamb versus Lamb. And still the undisputed champion of the world.
Season's greetings from Liverpool, everybody. 16 days until Christmas, but far more importantly, just 2 days until fight night at the Echo Arena. We were just about to go live and somebody said 30 seconds, Chris, and Darren was nowhere to be seen. Glad you were wearing a sort of bright...
Mixing, entertaining the crowd.
Yeah, where's Wally? It was for me for about 30 seconds. But I'm glad you're here anyway. We're just a few minutes away from the press conference. You'll hear from all the undercard fighters and, of course, our main event, Conor Benn and Chris Algieri. Chris Algieri returned to action after 18 months out during the pandemic. Conor Benn has also had a very, very active 12 months. Has fought, well, will be 4 times after Saturday night against some very good opposition. Yeah. And safe to say, the last 12 months of his career have been the time where we've seen the very best of him, and that he has levelled up and shown the first signs that he's got the potential to push on to the next stage.
Yeah, look, I think these are all massive tests for Conor. They're all good gauges and measuring sticks to see where he's at, because look, he's a huge star in the UK. He's got a big name, there's plenty of talent, there's improvements all the time. We just want to see how far he can go, and these are great tests. The Granados last time was a frustrating one for Conor. Chris Algieri comes here with his own aspirations. He wants the big fights. He's still fit and fresh, and look, he will pose lots of problems. I've no doubt. So Conor's going to have to bring his A game, but it's an exciting time if you're a Conor Benn fan. You know, there's a lot to like. Like I say, the improvements are fantastic, and he's a big draw.
We know, obviously, Algieri was a 140-pounder. That was where he won his world title in 2014 in that unbelievable fight. One of the fights of the year against Ruslan Provodnikov. We got off the canvas and dug in to come back and win that fight on a decision. He's gone up to welterweight a couple of times, then come back down to super lightweight at 37. I mean, it doesn't look his age, first of all. Secondly, I guess the sort of diligence, the way he's lived the life, how much of an expert he is on nutrition has allowed him to make the weight so comfortably. He was 143 pounds in his last fight. It'd be very interesting to see, because I think a lot of people assume maybe he'll be tight in the weight, but he said it's going to be absolutely no problem for him on Friday.
He looks great, like you say, and we spoke to him, and you can tell when someone's pulling the wool over your eyes. When you ask him, he's not. No. He's comfortable. He's a professional. He's one of those guys. I think he's a bit of a gym rat. He's in there all the time. Always keeps himself in shape. And I think you have to when you're still fighting at his age. Yeah. I don't know, 37 is that old, but you know when you've been fighting as long as he has, you've got to be keeping yourself in the gym, and he does. And that's why he feels he's got enough. Not only in the fitness side of things, he's got that experience, he's got that bit of know-how, not only to frustrate Conor, but to beat him. He said to us, look, I want to be in these big fights, but I've got to win this fight. I want to continue to push on, and who knows, win another world title. That's his goal.
Yeah, you're one of those fighters where he's been down a number of times in his career, but he keeps getting up and he keeps getting up, and you know, he'll fancy himself, even if he is put down on a couple of occasions, to come back and frustrate Conor Benn and to win this fight on Saturday. That's obviously our headliner at the O2, beg your pardon, at the Echo on Saturday night next week. We're in the Manchester Arena. What a year we've had. And then, of course, Chief Support Katy Taylor back in action, defending undisputed 135-pound titles against Kazakhstan's Firuza Sharipova, who's 14-1. Very, very good fighter. And feel that with the year at the upset, you just don't want to write anybody off. And she's come in with an impressive game plan for this. He's been working with Sofia Rochigeva, who handed Katy Taylor a couple of defeats in the amateurs. Was the only person to beat Sharipova herself, and that was both on their debuts. So you have to kind of look at that with a pinch of salt as a loss on her record. First ever fighter from Kazakhstan as well to become a professional female. It's kind of ignited a wave of other young women who've turned professional in the country. A lot of pressure on her, but this is the night that could define her career too.
Absolutely. I mean, she has a nation behind her. You know, she's a star and a bit of a hero out in her native homeland. She's a very good fighter. I mean, we spoke on the train on the way up, sort of comparing our notes. We said, look, the best compliment you can give Sharipova is the fact that she's quite similar in stylistically to Katy Taylor, where she lets her hands go. She's always thinking. She's looking for the opening. You know, she throws a lovely right hand over the top. She throws this beautiful screw shot. She's always thinking. She's busy. She moves her head. Good footwork. So. Look, I mean, as always, Katy Taylor's going to have to bring her A game. She's got this massive target on her back. I'll say it again, what I said yesterday, she's a legend. She's taken the female game to a whole nother level. But every single time she steps into the ring, she's going to bring the best out of her opponent. They're going to fight out, or they're going to have to fight out of their skin if they've got any chance of beating her. So she knows that she's going to have to be at her best to beat Sharipova, no doubt about it.
Joe Cordina back in action after a brilliant performance in fight camp about, 4 months ago now? Time kind of evades me these days, how busy the schedule's been. He's up against Miko Catcher, Cat Ryan. We've just signed Kenichi Ogawa, matchroom, and that will happen from time and again now. We're used to that these days.
I just laugh.
I don't know what people think is going on here. Like, we're just having a chat with some big lights. So obviously signing Kenichi Ogawa, the new IBF champion. We know that Zelfa Barrett's fighting in an eliminator next weekend. For Cordina, this could be his opportunity to get the job done in style and then look towards maybe an eliminator or a final eliminator for Ogawa next year.
He's ready. He's in the right place, right frame of mind to now push on for a world title. I mean, the victory over Hernandez, the one-round blowout, was tremendous. It really was explosive, and what we wanted to see from Joe. You know, we've seen the flashy skills, the ring generalship, the ring IQ, just that great boxing foundations he's all through from the amateur pedigree that we've seen and heard all about. We just wanted to see some explosive, powerful knockout, and we see that last time. He's ready. This is a tough test. So again, talking to you on the train on the way out, Catcher Ryan's a good fighter. I mean, he's unbeaten. I think maybe slightly taller than Joe. Can fight. He's slick. I mean, if you're looking at this and think there's a bit of a step up, it's not. An easy touch, a tick over fight for the world title. I look at this and I don't think it is. I think Joe's going to have to be proper switched on and is going to have to fight well. But knowing Joe and knowing how good he is and knowing how close he is to that shot, he's going to give it everything, and he's going to make sure he gets the win, and so he can push on, potentially fight for the world title.
Another exciting addition to the matchroom stable, the explosive Belfast middleweight Kevin Agjaco, who of course is based in Croydon under the guidance of Al Smith and Eddie Lamb at the iBox gym, making his first appearance on a matchroom card against Conor Larios Jr, who spends a lot of time in San Diego, has fought almost exclusively in Tijuana. Hasn't fought anybody with a winning record so far, but has had a tough apprenticeship, and he's looking to offer Agjaco a solid test for his matchroom debut. Yeah,
big fan of Agjaco. I love the way he fights. Very exciting, explosive, quick hands, bit of everything, and a very, very exciting future in front of him. Larios, he's awkward. He's awkward. He's tall. He's rangy. He moves really well. Look, I think you called it correctly actually yesterday. He would have been, the way Agjaco fights is very sort of South American sort of esque, if you like. The way, he's short, he sort of mixes it up well to the body. So I think it's something Larios would have been used to, sort of that style of fighting. So, and another thing we know is Mexicans are as tough as they come. So he's going to have to be switched on, but I'm a big fan, and I think he's got a great future in front of him.
Yeah, going to be a really, really interesting fight that for Agjaco, and see where he fits in the middleweight mix. No doubt Anthony Fowler will be moving up into the division. Felix Cash will see the return of him probably in January. He of course had to drop the British title to vacate that after a difficult year too, but lots of good talent at middleweight to come in the next season. And I have to be honest, we saw Signani and Ruben Diaz contest the European middleweight title, and I know you were less than impressed with the standard there. I think it's probably fair to say that there are 3 or 4 of our lads that could walk over there and take that belt in good style.
Yeah, it would be a handful of rounds, I think. I try not to be too disrespectful, but yeah, I mean, it's just the level of the fighters that we have in this country here. They're great, you know, they're following in my footsteps.
Two-time. Yeah.
But yeah, some real talent in this country, and I've said it time and time again. It don't matter what division you're looking at. I think domestically, the future of British boxing is so bright, so much talent, and it's just a conveyor belt as we're seeing. You know, with the McGraths, etc., all coming through, and it's just bundles of talent.
Yeah, obviously Peter McGrath made his debut in Liverpool on the Smith-Fowler undercard a few weeks ago. He's out for a second time. Joe McGrath, his younger brother, who is 18 or 19, will make his debut as well, both at the same weight. And of course the debut of Callum French, one of Charlie Sim's new fighters, training at Berkeley Gym under the guidance of Graham Rutherford alongside Cyrus Pattinson, who will be in action next weekend in Manchester. As you say, a whole host, and not all of the Olympians have turned over yet.
No. I mean, it's so exciting. It really is. You know, that's the future of our sport right there.
Yeah.
You know, all of this great. I mean, and we've got to give credit and you know, give a lot of respect to the coaches down at the Great British set up in Sheffield, the EIS Centre there. I mean, and all the other great coaches along the amateur scene who are working week in, week out, sort of producing this young talent. And it's great for us to be sat there commentating on them, Eddie as a promoter and all the other promoters in this country. The future's so bright as a boxing fan.
A couple of fights we haven't mentioned. One, hometown fighter Robbie Davies Jr. His second fight under Shane McGuigan, fought Johnny Phillips as a kind of comeback fight, just to kind of test the waters with his new coach. But he's in against a different animal in Hank Lundy, who will be a little bit past his best, but with the experience he has and the sharpness that we've seen in his last couple of fights, he could be a real handful.
Well, I mean, if you listen to him yesterday, he's almost laughing Robbie Davies Jr. off, saying, look, come on, he's not in my league. He's not in my league. He's talking about being the next B-Hop, Bernard Hopkins. He's out of Philadelphia. I mean, he's 37 years old now. He still has aspirations to go on and win world titles, etc. He still feels his best days are in front of him. So, I mean, you listen to him, you got to think that Robbie's in for a tough night. But Robbie, you know, I think he has dreams. He has. I mean, I asked you yesterday, where do you think he goes? If he seems like they're going down the international route, but a win against Lundy sort of opens lots of doors for Robbie. So it's an interesting fight to see where, not only for who's going to win the fight and how they win the fight, but where they go after this fight.
Very, very tough division at 140s. We discussed yesterday the number of names. We saw Montana Love, the latest £140 addition to the Matchroom stable box. It was in New York, wasn't it? And looked very, very good too. And he is one of 10 or 11 that you could quite conceivably see becoming world champion in the next 12 to 18 months. There is going to be no easy routes to a title. And obviously, if Robbie Davies Jr. does want to get there, he's going to have to beat the man who's just walking straight through our studio there.
I mean, that was perfect.
That was Hank Lundy.
Timing.
There you go. That's what you want. If you're going to walk through, do it in a timely fashion. And you know, speaking of two-time European champion Darren Barker, and of course IBF world middleweight champion, I don't want to forget that, but you know, I know the Europeans. You mentioned that more than anything, weirdly. And the fight with Andre Bertha in 2003.
It's the twice. It's the twice.
I know, so nice you had to do it twice. Jordan Gill will be in action as well. We got that confirmed. He was supposed to be fighting Kareem Guerfi. He's the mandatory for the EBU European title. Guerfi has had some problems with long COVID, so we're thinking that one's going to be rescheduled. Gill was of course mandatory for the champion before that, who Guerfi beat, so he's had to have a bit of a frustrating 6 months and a wait, but he'll be out in an 8-rounder on Saturday night to keep the wheels oiled ahead of what looks like potentially a January or February return for that European title. So plenty to look forward to on Saturday night. I think we've covered you from top to bottom there, and of course we head to Manchester next weekend for Parker Chisora 2 live on the Zone around the world. Lorraine Richards in a great fight against Carlos Gongora as well. So Dave Caldwell, a busy man over the next couple of weeks. He's in the corner of Derek Chisora as well. I'm hearing that the fighters are taking a seat, and just looking at our monitor there, Eddie Hearn looks like he's sat down at the table, so momentarily we'll be heading over, and you haven't got to listen to us anymore. We'll be
apologies.
Sorry about that. This is what you call filler, although I'd like to think a bit of killer as well. Right, well, I think with that said, Noah Larios is just making his way past us. Robbie Davies Jr. That's the only thing you can never quite rely on with boxers, Darren. It is timekeeping. I don't think it's their best forte. Were you early for this kind of thing?
You know what? It's the heavyweights you've got to worry about.
Yeah, it is.
They're usually late.
Yeah, Derek Chisora, we could have a 3 p.m. start on next weekend. Okay, well let's head over now. I think Eddie Hearn is ready to rock and roll. Undercard fighters look like they're all sat down. We're ready to sit down. There's Robbie Davies Jr. Come on, lads. You know what time we start.
You're doing well, mate. You're doing well. You're longing it out.
Yeah. We could start to go through the schedule for next year if we need to. So March 2022. Okay, guys. Right, I think that is everybody. So let's hand you over now to the desk for the press conference this afternoon, and Eddie Hearn.
Well, good afternoon everyone and welcome to Liverpool ahead of a huge fight night this Saturday at the M&S Bank Arena, live and exclusive on Dazn all around the world. It's a bit chilly here compared to Las Vegas last week. We're on a hell of a run. Of course, Madison Square Garden, just a couple of weeks ago we saw a fight of the year contender between George Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez. Last week we're at MGM Grand in Las Vegas for another great fight between Devin Haney and Jojo Diaz. And now we have 4 shows in 2 weeks live on Dazn. Of course, Dmitry Bivol defends his World Championship in Russia this weekend. We're in Liverpool for a tremendous fight card, double header with Conor Benn and Katy Taylor. And next week, on Friday night in Uzbekistan for Madrimov against Soro. And we close out the year December 18th at the Manchester Arena for Chisora Parker rematch. Great nights ahead, and of course we focus on this Saturday. Tremendous fight card, expecting around 7,000 at the M&S Bank Arena. Great city, and we can't wait to be back on Saturday night here. We're going to go through the ladies and gentlemen up here on the top 2 tables. We'll start with the table beneath us, and we'll start with Paddy Lacey on account that he has sold buckets worth of tickets for this fight. An incredible story, former pro footballer, now making his way in the boxing world. Paddy, welcome. I know you told me to put you on as late as possible on Saturday night. I've done that. Huge support for you in the city on Saturday night.
Yeah, thanks Ed. I'm lucky to be here, aren't I?
Yeah, you are, mate.
What do you want me to go into, yeah?
Keep going.
Situation 5 years ago, I was playing football in the Football League, kind of looking upwards at getting to the Premier League and then some, but if you've followed me recently, you'll see what my story is, what the journey's been, and I've got quite a big following. Everyone seems, I think it's relatable to loads of people in Liverpool. You know, we've all made mistakes, and I'm just trying to build myself back up. Not in football no more, in boxing. So hopefully the support continues, and I can climb up these rankings and do something in boxing.
Obviously, you had a great football career as well, but how seriously do you take this sport? How seriously people take you in this sport as well? We know it's difficult to transition from another sport. We've seen it, you know, with Mackenzie and of course Curtis Woodhouse winning a British title as well. Is that the goal, to try and put yourself in a position to win a British title?
Most definitely, yeah. Well, people used to snigger when I was boxing when I was playing football. But me 17 amateur fights, I snoozed half of them. Do you know what I mean? I was knocking out everyone in the amateurs. So if people will snigger or there's comments or people look down, well, they'll find out, won't they, when they fight me?
Well, we look forward to seeing you in action on Saturday, mate. Of course, this city is steeped in history of fighting brothers. Most famous of those, the Smith brothers. But Joe and Peter McGrail now making their way in the pro ranks. We saw Peter McGrail make his debut back in October on the Liam Smith Anthony Fowler card. Joe McGrail, welcome to the party as well. Massive card to be part of as well, and huge support again for you and your brother in this city.
What's happening, Ed? I'd like to thank you yourself for getting me on this card. It's a brilliant card for me to be making my debut, and it's special for me and my brother to both be on the card, so yeah, I'm happy.
Obviously you got tough shoes to fill from your brother, one of the most successful amateurs Britain's ever seen, probably the most successful amateur Liverpool's ever produced as well. Nice and competitive between the pair of you, and just a confirmation of who actually shifted more tickets out of the two of you, please.
He done a few more than me, like him, being honest, but my older brother, he's like my best mate, but he's also like, I look up to him, do you know what I mean? He's sort of like a role model to me, so yeah.
Look forward to seeing your debut on
Thanks,
Saturday night. Another debut that we can't wait to see is Callum French. Again, when you talk about successful amateur fighters, part of the GB system as well, Olympic setup, Callum French is ready to go on Saturday night for his professional journey. Callum, welcome. all starts for you. Many people here, of course, have been part of your journey as well. You've seen a lot of Olympians flourish and get ready to turn pro. It's your turn on Saturday night.
Yeah, I want to thank Dazn, Matchroom and Eddie for the opportunity to make me debut on a massive card like this. Been boxing in these sports halls in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, all over the world for the past 5 years, so it's going to be nice to come out and box in front of like army friends and family and a big stadium like the M&S Bank Arena.
Obviously your experience as an amateur, you talk about going into all those major tournaments, fighting some of the best fighters around the world. These days you come into the professional code, obviously as a debutant on Saturday, but the experience you've had in those major tournaments around the world put you in great stead. Yeah,
hopefully I can take that experience into the pro game with us. Had a few WSB fights for the 5 rounds system, so like I say, hopefully take that experience into the pro game and Matchroom's next start.
Good. Well, we look forward to seeing you making your debut on Saturday night. Gill. Jordan, you probably up there as the unluckiest fighter of 2021. You're still smiling, which is good, and you're still fighting, which is even more important. The original fight with Karim Gurfi, we know you had COVID previously, unable to fight and get to full fitness for Saturday night. You will now fight him at the end of January or first week of February, but you are in action in a good fight as well. Important to get out and get ready for Karim Gurfi.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad to be still fighting. Thanks for having me on still. I was absolutely gutted when Gurfi pulled out. I thought this was the weekend I was going to win my European title and push on. But this is boxing, these things happen, it's delayed. And I look forward to a good fight on Saturday night. I was miserable for about an hour. I was horrible to be around for about an hour. I was upset. But you have to get out of bed in the morning and you have to push on. And I've stayed in the gym all year. I feel like I've been mandatory for this title for ages. So I'm looking forward to getting the win on Saturday night, looking good, putting on a show for the fans that have travelled 4 hours from the fens to be there, and pushing on for the European title in January. So thanks for having me on, and I'm going to put on a show.
Obviously the weight class as well, not just around the world but domestically. Obviously you've got the whole Mauricio Lara, Josh Warrington story, Lee Wood fighting Michael Conlon, tremendous fight, and the big upset, Kiko Martinez against Keith Galahad as well. Great times in the featherweight division, and the European Tour victory will give you a chance to move forward for one of those big names.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great division. I'm glad to be a part of it. I feel like get Saturday out of the way, win a European title, my name's well and truly in the mix, and if I get a final eliminator or a defence of the European title, or maybe even straight world shot next year, I'm ready for a world title next year. Let's go for it, let's push on, and I want these big fights.
Good luck on Saturday night. Not a professional debut, but a matchroom debut, a Dazn debut for what I see as one of the most exciting young talents in boxing right now. Agjaco fighting for the WBA international title against the undefeated Larios Jr. Both undefeated young challengers for this belt. It's going to be a great fight to kick off our live broadcast on Dazn. I'll start with you. Welcome. A huge opportunity for you. You come straight over to the UK, undefeated, ready to fight for your first major title on Saturday.
Yeah, happy to be here. I feel blessed. Super stoked on this opportunity, honestly. I'm just here to do my job on Saturday and get the job done. So I'm just, like I said, blessed and happy to be part of this undercard.
We've seen a number of undefeated American fighters step up and take their opportunity as well. Jorge Castaneda, one of those guys that's done that. This is a massive opportunity for you to reach out into a huge TV show around the world, of course, live on Dazn across America as well, and a life-changing opportunity on Saturday.
Yes. I think it's at some point you have to come. There's a time where you have to fight the bigger guys, the bigger opponents. So I think it was about that time, and I think we're ready for Saturday.
Keegan, first big title for you on Saturday night. First fight on the live main broadcast of the show. Just everything set up. Of course, Katy on the card, Conor Benn on the card, big crowd in Liverpool. This is really where you need to be.
Yeah, without doubt, it's a great opportunity for me to kind of showcase my skills on this platform, and what an honour it is to fight on Katy and Conor on the card. I've I've obviously had the privilege of being at training camps and stuff with Katy, so the fight on her undercard, it means so much to me. But I've got 150 crazy Irish fans coming over Saturday night, so it'll feel like home, and I can't wait to get in there and put on an explosive performance.
You weren't tough to match in this fight. Every opponent we put forward to Paul Reilly and you guys seem to accept that and move forward. You just feel that these guys, the guys you should be beating, and win this championship on Saturday night. You move forward into a massive 2022.
Yeah, definitely. I want to be in the best fights possible, and in the past it has been hard to match me. But I've got an unbeaten fighter, a good fighter in front of me Saturday night, and I look forward to getting past that test and being in some big fights next year and going back home to Belfast and headlining a show up there hopefully, and kind of put my name in the middleweight division.
We look forward to seeing Agjaco against Larios Jr, 2 undefeated fighters for the WBA International title, 2 undefeated fighters going for the WBA International Super Featherweight title as well, Cordina and Catcher. Miko, firstly, welcome. Big opportunity for you. You come with a great reputation. I know you're promoted very well, and this is a massive fight for you on Saturday.
Yeah, that's true. It's a great opportunity for me. It's a last-minute fight, but I'm in a great shape and ready to make a good fight on Saturday night.
Belgian boxing is going well at the moment. Monica, as I said, you're a promoter as well. Algieri, the cruiserweight, and some big shows now in Belgium. This would be a major win for Belgian boxing, and of course, Cordina highly ranked across all the governing bodies.
Yeah, that's true. I'm ready and hope we'll make a great fight for everybody.
Looking forward to that, Nico. Joe, welcome. Again, blistering performance from you at fight camp. Just less than 2 minutes in that fight after a long camp. Looking forward to a big fight to close the year. And I know World Championship ambitions with a gala particularly on the menu for 2022, but a must-win fight on Saturday night.
Yeah, of course. I can't never overlook anyone. I've got Miko on Saturday, so he's my main focus at the minute. But yeah, I've never been shy to sort of make it clear that being a world champion is what I want, and that's where I want to be, holding one of them belts. And as soon as you just signed the RAF Champion belt, it just sits perfect. But yeah, like I said, first things first, I got Saturday to deal with.
Is it about making a statement as well on Saturday? I know obviously you want to get the victory at all times, but last time at fight camp you had a lot of people talking about you off those kind of performances, and it shows that when you make those statement performances, it's a huge momentum swing for your career.
Yeah, of course. I thought in March, yeah, my performance wasn't the best, but I felt comfortable. I didn't get on the second year, and I still got a comfortable win. But I was out for 18 months, and then when I got back in the gym, I built on my camp, worked on a lot of things he told me, and then while I was working on the gym, took me to the fight, and then that's what happened. So all I'm going to do in this fight is, what I've been doing in this camp is building on my last camp, building on that performance, and hopefully go in and get a similar result.
We'll see that Saturday night WBA International Super Featherweight Championship. We'll go to another hugely popular scouser, Peter McGrail. Pete, welcome back, mate. Last time, a crazy crowd for Smith against Fowler, another huge crowd on Saturday night. Second fight back-to-back at the M&S Bank Arena. Great times for you and looking to build on another great performance for you, David.
Yeah, it's good times. Obviously fight number 1 was a belter card in Liverpool. You brought another belter card to Liverpool. Got me on it again. Joe's on it. I've trained alongside Frenchy, Cordina. I know Robbie Davies, watched Conor Benn, Katy for years, and to box on the same card as all these is a privilege, and looking forward to Saturday.
What do you take from that first performance? Great atmosphere for your ring walk as well. Controlled the fight nicely against an awkward opponent. Yeah. But now looking to settle down in the second fight and make another statement.
Yeah, definitely. That ring walk, the experience that'll be with me for life, and probably won't get on like that now till I'm fighting for titles. So it's good to get that on my debut. Got that under my belt. Got a good 6 rounds in the first 6 rounds I've ever done, and looking forward to performing on Saturday and keeping the ball rolling and push on for the big 2022.
Look forward to a big night for the McGrail family on Saturday. I love this fight. Robbie Davies Jr against Hank Lundy. Very important fight for both guys in his career. Of course, Robbie Davies Jr in a big championship fight in his hometown. Great fight with Lewis Ritson, came back, got beat, of course, in the bubble if you like, against tough Mexican Valenzuela, came back with a comeback win, line and fight for Robbie Davies on Saturday. Hank Lundy, who's been there, seen it, done it, comes over with huge experience and huge confidence as well. Hank, I'll start with you. You picked up the call, you said no problem. You're here to win a title on Saturday night against Robbie Davies.
Yes, sir. We've been training, preparing for preparation in this fight. One thing about me, man, listen, we never out the gym. We seen the fight, we said we won it. We took our bottom on the stick and we here. We ready to get this title.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, when I talked to Shane McGuigan about opportunities for Robbie Davies Jr, who wanted him to be on this card, of course we know you flew over to the UK to talk about what ended up just being talking about the Lewis Ritson fight. Didn't work out for you, but took the opportunity straight away against Robbie Davies Jr. and a big fight to put you in a great position in your career.
Yes, well, after that fight fell out, we went back home, stayed in the gym, stayed ready. Like I said, at the end of the day, and on USA, Philadelphia, we always stay ready to fight, man. It ain't no getting ready. We should always be prepared and ready to fight, and that's what Hank wanted to do.
Great boxing IQ, a lot of experience in that resume as well. What do you see in the challenge of Robbie Davies Jr. on Saturday?
I can't let a lot of things out the bag, but this is going to be a great fight. I don't think I'm coming here to lay down just because I'm in your hometown. It's going to be war. It's going to be hell to pay. You step in there right when I have money. And I'm meeting business and I will be victorious.
Looking forward to seeing you back in the ring. Robbie, this is a perfect fight for you really, isn't it? You've got a guy down there who's got plenty to say, great experience, great resume, great name as well. Of course, Echo Arena. This is the moment for you to make a statement on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a great fight for me to come back to, definitely. Hank's been in with some of the top names in the division. Although he has fell short, as he's saying there, this Philly reputation, as anyone knows, in Liverpool, fighting's embedded in us, so I won't be shying away from anything that he brings to the table. I've been working hard in the gym. I had that little run out on the last show. Since then, I might have had a couple of days off, got straight back in with Shane, been learning my craft, and I'm ready to go on Saturday night.
You look in tremendous shape and also confident as well. Is that something that the gym has given you down there with Shane? Obviously great training, but also that belief as a team to move forward in big fights.
Yeah, there's definitely a big team bond in the gym. Shane had a lot of belief in me from when I started. He's been picking out on a few things for me to change up and things like that. And like I showed in the last fight, I wasn't gung-go like I have been in the past. And I think each step coming forward now, I'm just going to be able to showcase a little bit more of what I'm learning in the gym with Shane. And Saturday night's going to be able to start with it, and then we'll push on to a big 2022.
Your fight with Lewis Ritson was a fight of the year contender, fight that was very, very close, could have gone either way. I know you feel like you should have won that fight. Valenzuela defeat was disappointing, but this, for Robbie Davies Jr, is absolutely must win for your career on Saturday.
Yeah, I've said this even before speaking up here. Anyone that's asked me in an interview that this is a must win for me. Lewis Ritson's defeat didn't go my way. That was a bit disappointing. And then when I fought the Mexican kid, well, anyone watching seen what went on in that one, I'll leave that one in the past. But I'm a much better fight than that since I've been with Shane. It's given me the belief back in myself, and I'm going to be able to show it on Saturday night.
Look forward to a cracking fight, Robbie Davies Jr against Hank Lundy on Saturday night. Another great fight, one of the biggest stars in world boxing, an absolute icon, Katy Taylor, defending her undisputed lightweight world championships against the WBA mandatory Firuza Sharipova from Kazakhstan. First fight as a professional for Katy Taylor in Liverpool. Going to be another incredible atmosphere to see, as I said, one of the greatest legends of the female code. From amateur to professional, she's absolutely done it all. And obviously talks about major mega fights next year at Madison Square Garden with Amanda Serrano, but this is the fight that matters most right now. I'm going to turn to Team Sharipova. Sergey, I'll start with you. Welcome. You guys seem to mean business over here. You're here to win this fight.
Хочу поприветствовать всех, спасибо, что пришли. Мне очень приятно пребывать в Англии. Здесь очень уютно, я чувствую себя хорошо. Конечно же, в первую очередь, я приношу уважение к Кэти Тейлор, это кумир для многих, но я сюда приехала побеждать.
That first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for attending this press conference. I feel very comfortable and welcomed here in this city. And I have a great respect for Katy Taylor. She's been my idol all the time, but I came here to win.
I see you have a huge following in Kazakhstan, a huge team around you as well. This is the ultimate moment for any fighter to fight Katy Taylor. You believe it's the right time for you to become undisputed champion?
Конечно, как и у любого спортсмена, для меня этот бой очень многое значит, и я сделаю все возможное для победы.
Yes, of course, as for any sportsman, this fight is very important for me, and I've done everything possible to achieve my dream and to win.
Я подошла к этому бою очень хорошо. Спасибо моей команде, которая подготовила меня к этому поединку.
I was preparing well, and thank you very much to my team for their support, and I am ready for the fight.
Firuza, Sergey, thank you very much. Katy, welcome. Another challenge, another mandatory challenger. We see so often with undisputed champions, mandatory after mandatory. We know what might be ahead, but truly focused on Saturday night in Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very aware of the challenge on Saturday night. I haven't overlooked this opponent at all. I know what she brings. I am prepared for whatever comes my way on Saturday night. I'm also aware that there's so many big fights out there for me, that the bigger names that could possibly happen next year. So I have to get through Saturday night first, and then we can obviously focus on the bigger fights ahead.
Obviously, motivation is key. It's something that you don't lack. But all of these younger fighters seem to be coming into these fights as you being an idol of theirs, now a rival of theirs, a chance for them out of nowhere to become undisputed champion. You saw with Alicia Baumgartner recently, just rocked up as an underdog and dethroned Terry Harper. Very, very dangerous kind of fights against really motivated fighters.
Definitely. You're seeing so many upsets this year already in the boxing world. When people have maybe gone into the ring underprepared or overlooking certain opponents, but I know that obviously can't happen. I made that mistake before as an amateur fighter, where I have overlooked opponents, where I've actually been beaten in fights as an amateur. So I have learned that lesson the hard way, I guess. So I'm 100% prepared coming into this fight, 100% focused, and I'm ready to put in a big performance.
Obviously as well, just one final one. First fight in Liverpool. I remember when you boxed in Manchester, the atmosphere was incredible. Will be another brilliant atmosphere on.
It's so many packed fights. It's going to be an amazing atmosphere and an amazing night, and full of there's so many Irish people travelling over for the fight as well. So it's going to be a loud arena on Saturday night. So yeah, I can't wait to get in there and perform.
Can't wait to see you back in action. The undisputed lightweight world championship, Katy Taylor against Firuza Sharipova. And of course the main event, a brilliant fight, Conor Benn against Chris Algieri. Of course, Chris Algieri, former world champion. I was there actually the night that he beat Provodnikov. Incredible night at the Barclays. Went on to fight Manny Pacquiao, had a very close fight with Amir Khan, boxed Errol Spence. Been there, done it, seen it all. The young man to my right, I think one of the brightest young stars in world boxing. Huge amount of hype for him, and now delivering on all of that hype that we've seen in the future. One of the hardest workers I've seen in the gym, one of the most improved fighters I've seen in the gym, but a massive, massive step up against a true world-class opponent in Chris Algieri on Saturday night. Chris, I'll start with you. It was only just under 2 weeks ago where I saw you at MSG for the Cambozas fight. I came over to you and I said, you look really well. I'm a little bit worried. And you said, you should be. Absolutely here to win on Saturday night.
Oh yeah, no question. Training camp has gone great. We feel great. Got in here early. We've all adjusted very well to the time zone. And yeah, we're just happy to be here. I mean, I know a lot of European fighters are enamored with fighting over in the States, but a lot of us are enamored with fighting over here because of the fan base in Europe and the UK. The UK fans are some of the best in the world. So the opportunity to be here and to fight in front of those crowds is a big feather in the cap for me in my career.
Yeah, you've achieved so much in your career as well, but so many American fighters who have filled arenas and fought for world championships don't actually get the opportunity to fight internationally as well. So looking forward to experience a great atmosphere in Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for fight night. It's going to be electric. And I think we have the opportunity to put on a fantastic fight. You mentioned the Teofimo fight, how that was a potential fight of the year. I think this fight could potentially be a rival to that in terms of the style matchup and what I bring to the table. I think this is going to be a fantastic fight, and everybody should tune in.
You're an analyst as well these days. You're incredibly intellectual when it comes to boxing and boxing IQ as well. You've seen Conor Benn, you've studied him. I know you wouldn't be here if you didn't believe that you could win this fight as well. Is it as simple when we're analysing this fight, when we talk about the experience of Chris Algieri, you know, the boxing IQ of Chris Algieri and the young sort of hungry lion in Conor Benn as well? Is that how you analyse this fight? He brings a lot of the aggression. I know you like to mix it up as well, but looking to use that experience and ring IQ on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well put. You know, and I've been around this game a long time, and I've been in with the who's who, the best of the best, the elite of the elite. You know, I've been on both sides of the table. At the end of the day, skills pay the bills and experience kills. So we're coming in here with our experience, with our skills, and we're going to utilize that plan to find victory.
And finally as well, I know you're always in tremendous shape. Have had fights over 140 pounds before. I did say to you in the build-up to this fight, this is really going to suit you, 147 pounds. I've seen you make 140. It's not always pretty. But sitting here right now, just 2 days out, must be feeling good. You look in tremendous shape.
Yeah, we're in fantastic shape. You know, the weight, it's funny. You know, fight week is a lot longer when you don't have to worry about the weight. I'm just raring to go. I cannot wait for fight night. You know, I still feel like it's really far away. So, yeah, no, the weight is has been a bit of a blessing.
Well, look forward to seeing you in action. I know you'll give it everything on Saturday night. Conor Benn, these are the fights, these are the step-ups that you want. Hard not to like Mr. Algieri. I know you've had words to get with opponents in the past, but absolutely all business on Saturday night. An absolutely massive fight for your career.
I remember fighting here when Khan fought Vargas against Chris Truman, which was almost 4 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. So first off, very excited to be fighting here, but I know Algieri's a test, he's a step up. He said I haven't been tested, and you know it's getting a bit boring here and I haven't been tested, because every fight moving forward for me is essentially going to be a test. But Formella said exactly the same thing. He ain't been tested. Vargas said exactly the same thing. He ain't been tested. Granada, so he is where he is because of his dad. So, you know, you don't get ranked top 5 in the WBC, WBA, ranked in IBF and WBO for nothing. So it's just, yeah, it gets a little bit frustrating. But, you know, I plan on passing these tests with flying colours, and that's exactly what I do. You know, I work hard at each fight. Each one of these fights is my world title fight. And I train for each of these fights like they're my world title fight, because they are. Every single one of them are. You know, once I get through Algieri, which I believe I will, when I work hard enough to speak the way I speak, with the confidence. I speak with confidence. It's not arrogance. I speak with confidence because I work so hard. You know, confidence is a luxury for the hard working. And if you work hard, you know what I mean. And if you don't, then you go into a fight worried about whether you can see through 12 rounds. You know, Granados was on his bike. He didn't even want to come in there and win. And that's why I was frustrated. It wasn't frustration because of, oh, he was moving and I couldn't get hold of it. He didn't even come in there to win. You may have well flew a journeyman in there with me. He was giving it all the talk. Oh, yeah, we're going to have a barn fest. We're going to have a proper fight. I'm going to have to knock Britain's golden boy out to win. He couldn't have done the opposite. So, you know, I know Algieri's going to come in there and win. And, you know, I'll exploit his mistakes as well, because I see holes in his armour. And, you know, when I get in there, you know, I'm just ready to fight, man. Always get like this fight week. Always get like this. Always get intense. Always get animated. Always get ready to go. And, you know, Algieri is right in saying fight week is long. But fight week is long for me, not because I got a diet, not because I got to get down in weight. Fight week is long because I want to get in there Saturday night and iron someone out.
When you look at those opponents, and it's been a great run when you talk about your development, Formella, you know, who, let's get it right, in a fight 2 or 3 months prior, boxed Sean Porter, headlined on a Fox card on PBC. Then he boxed you got criticism over that opponent. Samuel Vargas, who boxed Virgil Ortiz, had a good fight with Amir Khan, knocked him down. You stopped him in a round. Adrian Granados. The one thing I'll say about Chris Algieri is, which I can't say for sure about those other three, is he truly believes he can win this fight. Those other guys come in, Granados felt the power, went on his bike as well. This is a real fight for you on Saturday against a seasoned, world-class fighter.
1,000,000%. You know, Algieri's a better version than all of them. And he beats them all at everything they do, in my opinion. In terms of boxing IQ, cuteness. You know, in terms of knowing his way around the ring, people say he can't punch. Well, listen, when anyone's got their 8 ounce gloves on, mate, anyone can punch. I'll tell you that now. So, you know, I'm well prepared. I ain't concerned about what he brings to the table because I know what I can do. You know, Formella, you know, outbox the boxer, so to speak. Easy night's work. That was, you know, I went back to the change room, ordered a lot of Chinese and was chilled. It was like, oh my gosh, I've had harder spars than this. You know, Samuel Vargas took Virgil T 7 rounds just before me, you know, dropped Khan. I banged him out in 1 round. And, you know, lucky he went down in 1 because he would have had that for the whole 12 if it was the case. Adrian Granados, he got on his bike, so I can only deal with what's presented to me on the night. However Algieri chooses to approach this, whether he wants to box and move, and he's not going to do a Granados and run, because that's what Granados done. It was just terrible. I was very disappointed in that, by the way. I can only do what I can do. But, you know, Algieri's going to come, he's going to throw, he's going to try and win, of course, which I'm sure him and his team believe he can. But I'll exploit holes in his armour. He's up against a young lion. He's up against someone who's on the come up. Up against someone who has worked so hard, not just for this camp, but every single camp I go into, I give 100%. Every single camp, I cannot do any more. I think I can, and then I do. Every single time. And I'm not going to say I'm crushing it in the gym.
You are,
but I am, though. I'm crushing it in the gym. So, and that's what it comes down to, is I level up every single time. I can only beat who's put in front of me. You put anyone in front of me, I will deal with them. I will find holes in their armour. But not only do I beat them, I learn. And, you know, I grow. School's never out.
And final question. We see in boxing so often people talking about and thinking about and looking towards the future. Obviously, we saw it Madison Square Garden a couple of weeks ago with George Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez. We talk about Katy and the Serrano fight, and obviously she's got to get through Saturday. There is no future if you don't beat Chris Algieri. I'm not asking about the future. I'm just saying your focus is absolutely on Chris Algieri on Saturday night in Liverpool.
Most definitely. I mean, you learn, don't you? And I've done this once before, and thank God I got the win. And, you know, I had to show a lot of grit and determination of overlooking an opponent early on in my career. And I know now to never do that. When someone asks me about Khan or Brook or Adrian Broner, I don't entertain the thought. Because at the end of the day, none of them materialise if I don't get through Algieri. You know, Algieri is my world title fight. And that's how I look at all my fights moving forward. But it has to. Once I get through Algieri, and I believe I will, again, that ain't arrogance talking, that's confidence. Because I work so hard, then the doors can open.
Well, we look forward to a brilliant fight. Conor Benn against Chris Algieri. Huge fight for the career of both men on Saturday night. Of course, the undisputed lightweight world championship, Katy Taylor against Firuza Sharipova. Brilliant fight in the 140-pound division. Robbie Davies Jr. against Hank Lundy. The return of Peter McGraw and his brother Joe McGraw as well. Paddy Lacey, Callum French, Jordan Gill. 2 championship fights between 4 undefeated fighters in Cordina and Catcher and Kevin Agjaco and Larios as well. Tremendous fight card on Saturday night in Liverpool. Wherever you are, do not miss it, live and exclusive around the world on Dazn. We're going to go back to the guys and we'll be having head-to-heads up here shortly. Thank you.
Well, what a press conference that was.
A lot of confidence showed there from both corners.
Yeah. Conor Benn, his 4th fight in 12 months this will be. Would you say Algieri is the toughest test on paper, about the same as the others? Where would you put him amidst the guys that he's been in against Vargas, Granados?
He's a former world champion, and I like Eddie. I agree with what Eddie said there. I think he's someone that's not just saying it, he truly believes he can win. I was speaking to him yesterday, just, you know, off air, and he was saying, look, I've got what it takes. I've got the know-how. I know how to move. I know how to win rounds. I've just got that ring IQ, and that's why this one's so exciting. But yeah, I would say he is the toughest test. Okay. I would say so, yeah.
Okay, we're going to see the fighters go head-to-head in a few moments' time, starting from the bottom of the card, working our way up to the top. Interesting to hear what Katy Taylor said as well about just being aware of the number of fighters that maybe have overlooked opposition or maybe haven't quite been as prepared as they needed to be. I guess maybe alluding to Terry Harper and Alicia Baumgartner with a comeback fight. Yeah, always the same. And she said that she's aware of the big fights that are over the horizon. Of course, we know Amanda Serrano's boxing next weekend against Gutierrez, who of course Taylor fought 2 fights ago, so she'll be keeping an eye on that because it's at 135. But she said, I'm in no way complacent or unaware of the danger that's in front of me on Saturday.
She's far too professional for that. We know she is. She's not in the position now just purely on talent. She works so hard. She's diligent in her preparation. She's always switched on. She would never get complacent because, you know, I mean, we asked her yesterday, what's the end goal? She says, I don't have one. Go on, mate. Go on.
Go on, mate. Come back through. You've been through it once. Come back through the. We should have like an airport scanner so that it goes beep 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 when people come through. Yeah, sorry.
She understands that there's no end goal. She just wants to keep fighting and keep winning. But it's only going to keep happening if she keeps doing so. So yeah, she leaves no stone unturned.
Okay, so that's our chief support. Good to hear from Joe and Peter McGrail, both. Well, Peter, of course, made his debut a few weeks ago on the Smith-Fowler undercard, but Joe Cordina.
This is a good fight.
It is a good fight, and I know you're and Catcher can quite convinced that he could cause some problems for Cordina early, but he also, Darren, have to say, he won't have seen anything or been in with anything like Cordina in his career.
Look, Joe's levels above. I just feel this is Catcher and this is his world title shot. This really is. It's a massive fight for Joe because we've heard what's on the horizon for him if he gets through him. But I just feel, you know, he's a decent fighter. He has a decent amateur pedigree, so Joe's going to have to turn up. He's going to have to be, you know, near his best to beat him.
Kenichi Ogawa, of course, the new signing from Matchroom Boxing, the IBF champ, will be in action at some point next year. Will it be against Joe Cordina? Will it be against Alpha Barrett? Will there be an eliminator between the pair of them? Barrett, of course, goes in Manchester next weekend. One man who said earlier on that it is a must-win fight is that man, Robbie Davies Jr., one of the 140-pound kind of European level contenders, lost it against Gabriel Valenzuela, and he said, well, for those of you that saw the fight, you know what happened. He's alluding to that first fight under Dominic Ingle. He was made to box southpaw, didn't feel it was the right approach and got put down and hurt on numerous occasions by very heavy-handed Mexican in Valenzuela and lost that fight. He dragged it back close towards the end of the contest, but just left himself way too much to do. He can't afford to get the tactics wrong against somebody as experienced as Hank Lundy, can he?
And someone who, like I said at the top of the show, has aspirations to go on and win world titles. At the age of 37, he feels his best years are in front of him. So much confidence in him, so much experience, and he feels he has the know-how to exploit the weaknesses that Robbie has. And on the flip side, Robbie, you know, he wants to get back to these real big fights, and it's an interesting one. If he beats Lundy, it will open some opportunities for him.
Yeah, it's a decent level test for him at this stage, isn't it? And one that he needs to come through if he's got aspirations of getting back to the top level and getting in the mix with some of those names at 140 pounds. We're just behind us. You can see Katy Taylor and Firuza Sharipova just about to come together for their head-to-head, all 5 belts. The Ring Magazine title, of course, along with the major 4 sanctioning body belts in the arms of Katy Taylor there. Sharipova, 14-1, just 1 defeat to Sofia Ochageva, who handed Katy Taylor her last defeat in the amateurs and is part of her training camp for this one, and she believes that knowledge could be crucial. She looks big, Sharipova, too, doesn't she?
She does. She's a very good fighter, very busy. We've already drawn the comparisons between her and Katy Taylor stylistically. She lets her hands go, she's busy. It's about, will she be overawed? We see yesterday, didn't we? She asked, you know, she shook Katy's hand a little bit in awe, almost like fan-like.
But we saw that with Andy Ruiz against Anthony Joshua.
You cannot
take that as a signal.
Exactly. I mean, she needs to get that first bell underway and get to work. She's up against it though. It doesn't get much tougher in boxing.
Yeah, looked very good against Gutierrez and Jennifer Hahn after a tricky spell against Delphine Pursoon. In fact, tricky is probably the wrong word. A very brutal spell against Pursoon and against Natasha Jonas, but Katy Taylor retains those titles and boxes in her 14th world title fight Saturday night. And one young man with title aspirations is the man on the left, the compact, solid figure, the aggressive, explosive Belfast fighter Kevin Agjaco, based in South London under the guidance of Al Smith and Eddie Lamb at the iBox gym. He's up against that tall American fighter Conor Larios Jr, who spent much of his time fighting in Tijuana, and could again pose some problems for him with the height and the reach. Agjaco's going to have to make up some ground in that fight.
I think Agjaco's got to change the levels, jab to the body, come back with the right hand to the head. He can do it out of both stances, switches to southpaw nicely as well. It's a good fight. We know how tough these Mexicans are. He's unbeaten, he knows how to fight. So yeah, it's another cracker, mate.
And this is, well, we hope another cracker as well. And of course, Conor Benn there vocal about his disappointment with Adrian Granados and his approach after all of the talk. You would think that there will be some shades of the Granados approach in the way Algieri boxes this fight, because we've seen him box like that in the past. But if he genuinely wants to come and win this fight, he's going to have to do a lot more than Adrian Granados did in Leeds.
Oh, absolutely. Again, we drew the comparison with his fight with Provodnikov. He worked well. I mean, he was on the back foot for the whole round's duration, but he was busy. You know, he was letting his hands go, and he caught Provodnikov a lot. I think a similar performance. He's going to have to keep his output disciplined. He can't get greedy. But Conor's a real force. He's again, we've said it plenty of times. He's still learning. He's still improving dramatically and so impressively, but it's another great test for Conor.
One guy, I think you could see when Conor was speaking, there was just little shades of a smile from Algieri, and you saw the handshake and the niceties between them there. It hasn't always been the case with Conor Benn, but two very, very nice guys, and no doubt after they've done business on Saturday night, they'll shake hands and they'll be friends in the future.
Chris certainly knows the game inside out. He knows this. He knows that it's another fight. It's all business.
He's just to our left, by the way, guys, if you're listening to this. Yeah.
And for Conor, though, you could call him a raw novice in the game. He understands his business. It's all business. There'll be plenty of handshakes, I'm sure. But hearing Chris talk there, I've no doubt that it's going to be an entertaining fight. Yeah. He's not going to do what Granados done and talk to have a big fight and didn't deliver. Chris, with his experience and the fact he's a very, very good fighter, he's going to bring it.
Yeah, youth against experience. Yeah. Will Algieri have enough still to take the sting out of the tail of Conor Benn? Very, very interesting contest in our headliner in Liverpool. Really looking forward to it. The weigh-in we hear is open to the public tomorrow. We've kind of been trying to get confirmation on that. A number of you have asked me, but it is open. So if you are in the local area, check on Matchroom Boxing social media, venues and times, and we'll see you there. If not, we'll catch you across Matchroom Boxing social media tomorrow afternoon, nice and early, for the weigh-in ahead of a big night of action at Liverpool Echo Arena on Saturday night. Conor Benn, Chris Algieri, Katy, Sharipova, and 8 others on the undercard in our penultimate fight before Christmas, live from Matchroom Boxing on Dazn around the world. From Darren Barker and Chris Lloyd here in Liverpool, thanks for your company this afternoon, and have a very good Thursday. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the featured bout of the evening. From the 4 corners of the world, to the 4 corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
This is something that comes along every now and then in generation, and it's special. And there's no hype. I'm telling you, it's special.
No respect for this guy. Let's go.
Now he's got the fire on his side. You better believe it now. That was something special. Gets the win. 20 bouts, 12 victories. It is over. A professional record, a perfect one.
Remember, capture the body.
Great finish from a great finisher.
It was Lamb